Like I was saying, guys, like how I was raised, from my aunts and my uncles and my abuser slash father, just in case if you didn't understand who's the abuser, and my mom, I'm gonna go step by step, guys, like who was the worst and who was a decent kind, of relative I will always appreciate, So let's go to the abuser, As I was growing up, it always occurred to me that they was trying to teach me, my family was trying to teach me that all people will abuse you and hurt you, and it it really, how can I explain it? It is life, like they're abusing you, my uncles, you know, they always abuse us, me and my siblings, it was four of us at the time, they always abuse us, but they expect us to like be okay with it, like this is how life is, people will abuse you and hurt you, and you're supposed to like take it and do that, they'll abuse you, hurt you, and you should be fine with it, So I'm gonna go down the list, who was the worst, who was the better out of all of them, of my family members, So I'm gonna go down the list, I'm gonna start with my aunt, So I'm gonna tell you who be the people in my life, in my family life, like what they teach me, It's gonna be kind of crazy to anybody who's gonna watch this, like oh my God, this is how you was raised, that's not the way of life, and stuff like that, right? At the time, I always thought that that's how people will treat you, and there's no way you can get out of this, until I lived with my aunt for a couple of months, and then she taught me like, that's not how people supposed to hurt you, or people supposed to love you, not abuse you and hurt you, So I was living with my aunt, she's a little saint, I guess, to me, I guess. Anywho, like I was saying, she's the one who taught me how to clean, like the house, and do like, she was like a clean person, and I always wonder, like, is that the way of life, like, do you supposed to clean, you know? She was not like trying to teach me like be like a house mother or anything like that, like a house person, So she was not trying to teach me like those kind of things, but she was like teaching me like cleanliness, like how you supposed to sweep, how you supposed to mop, how you supposed to clean a house or something like that. And I'm gonna go down the list, guys. She was like perfect, like a kind of like a saint, She was not a person who abused me, So that is one. And then it's like, I'm going to go down. So her sister is my mom, So my mom, she really teach me apparently nothing, Apparently nothing. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, she didn't teach me nothing, When I was growing up, she didn't even teach me stranger danger, She waited until like I was like in high school, like 17 years old to 18, to tell me about stranger danger. Where was the stranger danger when I was like going to people's houses? Where was the stranger danger going in people's homes? Where was the stranger danger going on these buses? It was none. That's what she didn't teach me. I'm gonna go down. Like she didn't teach me nothing. Until I went to my aunt, and she taught me about cleanliness. My father, she was abusive. He abuses. And just like an ex-boyfriend or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they abuse you and then start giving you like candies or gifts to make up that they abuse you. And in my brain is like, when I was like a child, in my brain I'm like, okay, I get abuse, but then I get candy to make it seems like I'm supposed to forgive him, my deadbeat father, my abuser in my life, And he'll abuse us and give us candy or sweets or anything to make up that he abuses. Sometimes, like, when he abuses, I remember one time, my aunt came, right? The one who was like a saint, right? So she came down, right, to our house, right? And she bought us, me and my sister at the time. It was me and my sister. I think it was like 6, 7 years old. I can't remember how old we was. And my deadbeat father, my abuser, I'm gonna put it, I'm gonna say my abuser. So my abuser cooked us some nasty, disgusting food. It was leftover, but it was grease from the leftover, and then he put eggs in it to make it look like it was food, what he just prepared. So he gave us that, right? And of course, guys, that's disgusting. Gravy with eggs. He scrambled the eggs with the gravy to make it look like it was like oil. It was so stupid. He always feed us some nasty ass shit. I don't know if he was trying to poison us. I don't know. But it was always nasty. So he gave us that, right, to eat, right? And my aunt came, and we didn't want to eat that shit anymore because it was nasty. So we put it back in the pot, right? And I guess he knew because the pot was a little bit higher than it was before. And after my aunt left, he whooped us. He used a force to whoop us. And at the time, I was like, I had like, like, you remember how they did to Jesus? They whip him until his like skin was bleeding and such. Yeah, that's what he did to us. He was abuser. He was torturing us. Little kids. That's people who hurt kids. Or people who hurt like people who have disability. If I see that shit, I'm gonna be really mad. And to a certain point. So anywho, so he whooped us, and our like I felt like all blood was coming out of my arms and legs, and was sitting into like a big ball. Me and my sister was in a corner as she was whooping us. And I'm gonna tell you the other parts. Like, go down the list. Like, he was mostly the abuser, in my life. But then like my uncles and aunts and stuff like that. They always no, my aunts' kids tend to like get us in trouble. And we kept getting whoopings. Like I was telling you that story. My ugly cousins. I think they was mad because it was ugly. That's what I'm assuming. But anywho, like I was saying. So, next is my uncles. They always abuse us. And they didn't torture us, they was like only abusing us, like hitting us. And, it was like that, they was abusing us as well. And I don't know if y'all understand that my whole life when I was growing up, I was getting abused, physically and mentally, and tortured. Like, you hear those people in the stories like, oh, I got abused and physically abused and tortured and stuff like that. Yeah, I was getting that. But I felt like I was getting the worst kind of abuse. They said, my siblings said they got more worse than I did. I remember this one time. It was my older sister, right? And I guess my other sister, my third sister, she didn't had any underwear to wear, right? And she told me the story, right, that our abuser was hitting her with a belt and saying, why you didn't wash my third sister's underwear so she could wear it. And when he was beating her, he was using a belt. Don't get me wrong, guys, there's nothing with the belt, but the metal part, the wooden hard part where you got a buckle, that hard part, he was like hitting her with that, in her arms and stuff like that, as she was washing my sister's underwear, and it was like that, and to me, I'm like, what the hell? But then they was telling me other stories what happened to them, about our uncles. I don't think none of my uncles ever hit me specifically. I know they hit my siblings. They was telling me other stories that, oh, in our family, they always like they abuse us and tell us it's okay to get abused by anybody. That's how they was trying to put into our heads. And I didn't really accept that shit. That's why I lived with my aunt for a couple of days, like a couple of months, and it was okay. I was like getting hit, but she was teaching me like cleanliness, cleaning and how you're supposed to clean and stuff like that. That's why, like, I always, like, now do I regret that, like living with her? No, not really, because she taught me a lot, a lot, So yeah, so my sister's like saying they get abused by our abuser. My mom was abuser. She didn't abuse us. She whooped us, and like put us in like timeout and stuff like that. One leg up, and hold a book. I don't remember. It was something like that. So yeah, that's what my mom taught us. My mom, my father, my deadbeat father slash abuser, and my uncles and our aunts taught us that, like, if you get abused, it's good to get abused. That's what they was trying to drill into our heads, and I really didn't buy it because I thought it was like it's always like a green side. Like the grass is always greener on the opposite side, and my grass on the opposite side was my aunt's house. That's the way to get away. Of getting abused. And then other stuff like my uncles, like my aunts and my grandmother and stuff like that. But my grandmother, I really took to her. She was like, I got very close to her, like real close to her. I guess I was her only like granddaughter. I was always like her perfect granddaughter. I guess maybe because when she died, I heard like the others cousins was stomping on her grave and that bullshit. And if I was over that, I wouldn't slide. That wouldn't slide to me. Like, yeah, if you're watching, it wouldn't slide. Anywho, like I was saying, yeah, it was like that kind, and father or something like that. He was abusing my siblings as well, but yeah, it's like always a grass greener than the opposite side. Like, did you ever have like that? Like one side is like a brownish color, but if you go on the opposite side, it's like much greener. That was like how I was putting it. So yeah, like and subscribe, turn your notifications on, and bye.